Welcome to episode 364 of the 365 Message Center Show. Today we will be talking about large events and this really handy way of finishing off your event and gathering your crew together to debrief, something that's making that interesting and easy to do. Our headline today really is going to be some of the detail, massive message, but it's all about Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, pay-as-you-go, kind of a follow-on from our message from last week. And lastly, we also want to highlight some changes, fairly minor changes, but ones that might impact your users around new Outlook, or just Outlook as the case may be. Episode 364, let's go.
I like that. That was really good job, Daryl, with the... Or maybe it's just Outlook. I like that. That was funny. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hello. Hey, we had a really good week last week in terms of replies and engagement to a question that we asked. We covered a message that was asking the question, why would you change your display name before a meeting? And fantastic. Look, our community have come back with some really good answers that Daniel and I were like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you remember, in the episode, we were like, I don't know why you would do this. This doesn't seem like it would be used very often. But via email, via comments to the actual video on YouTube, we had some great comments on why you would want to do that. Why would you care to do that? And so one, Jacob had mentioned, what if you're doing it by role? And you're a scrum master, or you're the person that's chosen this week to lead the all hands meeting. Maybe you would want to put that.
I like that one. I like that one. Yeah, because just really clear on screen. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing today. Susan had a good suggestion too, that sometimes we have our legal name or perhaps even our employee number as our name or number display name. So you want to change it up so it's a bit more recognizable as people know you for who you are in the meeting. But I liked your comment on that too, Daniel. Like, that's great, but wouldn't you want to be able to change that so it's more consistent? You don't have to update it each meeting. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But point is, great engagement. Thank you, community, for answering those questions. And look, we always welcome that. So do reply with your various questions or comments on the content as we share and discuss it during the show. And look, you know where to find us at 365MCS on, what do we say, Daniel? All the socials that matter?
All of them that matter. Yes, please connect with us. And also that email address, if you want to send in and share your thoughts privately, is contact@365mcs.com. Would love to connect with you there.
For sure. We do have 6 messages. We managed to whittle down our list of 15 or 18 or whatever we had. But there is a big one that we're not going to try and do everything, because it would be its own show, and we're not as focused on the big picture in terms of Copilot there. So we'll try and go through and answer some stuff around pay as you go and the like. But Daniel, let's just get into it, I guess. Okay. Look, our first message here is about Copilot, and it is about the experience that we're starting to know as context IQ, but what's developing in that space?
Yes, this is Microsoft 365 Copilot. Select Microsoft Graph connectors when writing prompts in BizChat, MC978930. And with the announcement last week on, and we'll talk a little bit more on this in the other Copilot announcement message we're going to cover, but it talks about a new name or a new way of referencing this BizChat, this business chat. So I don't know if BizChat will stick around, no clue, that term anyway. I know the functionality will, but I don't know about the term. But what this is talking about, this message, is being able to select those graph connectors that have been set up for you to be able to be grounded in other content, other services, that brings in information from, other systems, not just, the information that you're interacting with in SharePoint or the web. So what this is talking about is you're going to be able to select and do that, and it's Daryl's favorite term, context IQ, to be able to do slash. And then we talked about this before in the show where you do this and you're going to be able to pick and show and filter through those types of content from files and people and meetings. This is going to be in the other. And when you select that, you can say, use this graph, this connector that has been set up. So in the examples that are being shown in this message, you can Confluence. There is, I think that's Jira, maybe that third one. So we can have, if we set those up, we can use those in our prompts, and this is how we would do it. Saying, get me, the incident about blah from Jira, so we can go slash, select other, and then pick that and give me, details on the resolution or whatever. So this is the functionality that I think I think really the power of Copilot is not just my SharePoint content, or my OneDrive files or whatever. I mean, that's powerful, and that there can be some amazing, powerful things, but it's also about everything we do in our work and having those connectors, those graph connectors out to other services and making that part of our graphs and part of the knowledge that Copilot can consume, I think is really powerful. Daryl, do you think that's true? Like, what are your thoughts on, and what do you think would be important for organizations to connect to so they can bring in that knowledge that's to be available to Copilot?
Oh, yeah, firstly, I do like the use of the context IQ experience, that rather depending on me writing some fancy one-hit prompt that's going to come back with the exact results I want each time, I can ground the prompt in the source and the results that I want with these connectors or sources that I want to point to. It's going to depend on what your organization is focused on and what different systems you use and whether it will be able to support bringing information into that. Your likes of ServiceNow, and if you're using that for managing different types of services in your organization, / and then whatever your connector is called. I think that's actually something I was sort of musing about, that if you get familiar with what the name of your connector is it simple enough to type / and begin to type the name of whatever that connector is, and it will complete or say and suggest this is the one that you're after. I think, the experience is going to be good. Lumping everything under other, is that going to be kind of a massive list? I think it will start to depend on what you are familiar with and know, so you can start typing the rest of the connector that you're looking for.
Yeah, because that's the connector and how we want to engage with that, right? And how has it been set up for us? So I think that's really important to remember. So that's a really good call out. This is rolling out worldwide late February 2025, and expected to be completed by early March of the same year, 2025. Daryl, let's talk a little bit about when we're ending a large meeting, large event. We want to talk business with those other presenters. How can we do that easily pretty soon?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the title first. Large events, end session for attendees and return presenters to the green room. MC 978 932. At the end of a large event, Daniel, like with webinars and the like, sometimes it's good to be able to get back together with the people you presented with and reflect on how did that go? Is there anything that you want to cover? Have you got your resources that you're going to share if you haven't been that organised? And today, I think what we do is we start up a group chat and we say, would you like to jump on this call, or we're having a call, can you come and join, are you available? And it just feels a bit disconnected, not very smooth. But with this new capability, you'll be able to go back to perhaps the green room that you used before you started the large event. And in that same motion, you're still ending the event for all your attendees in one step. Nothing worse than having someone sitting there still in the events when they've probably just walked off to go and do something, and they're sitting there, and it just, you know what I'm talking about. So you still end the event for everyone, but you come back and you talk about things in the green room with the presenters. Really good feature. We thought it was worth a mention, even though it is a quick one, to say a smart way of doing this. Yeah. So there's quite a spread there of when this will happen. I'll race through it quickly. Targeted release begin rolling out February this year. Complete by mid-February. General availability mid-February through to late February. General availability GCC late February to early March. GCC high DoD late March to early April. There you go. Daniel, we need to engage on some things next. I think I recommend that you make some comments that are engaging to us as we explore this message.
Okay. Microsoft Viva Engage. New recommended comments feature, MC982552. So in kind of the same way that you may see other platforms doing this, where you've started, there's a thread or people are replying, and you're only shown some of the replies, and then you can click and see all. That's what's happening here. So Viva Engage is going to say, hey, we're recommending some comments in this thread to you. If you want to see all the comments, click here. We're treating this as a quick mention. We could get into some interesting discussion here. We're not going to. We're gonna keep that. Maybe save that for you. Hit us up on socials at 365MCS or in the comment section down below and tell us what you think about this. But it seems to be we're not given a lot of detail on what will actually be the indicators to Engage to give us, to pick, I guess, the comments that it's going to show. The only indicator we have in this message is that our leaders, so you know we can have leaders set up as our leaders in Viva Engage, and those that we work with will be given, will show up more often. Is actually the wording. Users, leaders, or close connections may show up more often in the recommended view. So the reason why I'm calling that out is it seems like it's a little black box of a calculation as to which comments are being shown. And this might stifle or suppress comments that are good, that would be better for you to see in the long list. I understand having to, if the thing's got 30 replies, it's going to be a really long list and scroll. So do we just show the latest ones or the first ones and then you have to click or whatever? So it's trying to be a little smart. So I get it. I can understand the need to be a smart and only showing a few. But if we don't know the formula, what it's choosing for those few, then it could be amplifying the wrong comments, is what I'm saying, right? So I'm a little neutral on this announcement. I see the benefits, but also can see some negatives. So just be aware that this is something that is coming. It is something that you can turn off. So know that in your tenant settings in Viva Engage, you can turn this off. And there's even a screenshot to show you how to do that. So I would, for those Engage admins, you need to think about this and talk about it and decide whether you even want to use this or not. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm also saying, hey, maybe you should contemplate the implications. So this will be rolling out early February 2025 and be completed by late March 2025. So you do need to get on it to decide whether or not you're even going to use this functionality or not. Okay, so get on it, peeps. Speaking of getting on it, no, I'm not going to do it that way. Speaking of things rolling out, see, this is terrible. No, speaking of having resources for admins to tweak things that are rolling out, tell us, Daryl, about some resources available to IT pros, IT admins for the M365 updates that are coming out for pay-as-you-go and et cetera.
Daniel, do you have access to Copilot? Because if you don't, I can set up pay-as-you-go, and you could take that lump of whatever you just said and say, Copilot, please try and make it more concise and understandable.
Thanks.
And that would probably be a generative answer. All right, I'll say at the outset of this, Daniel and I are going to try and tackle some of the things that follow on from what we started last week. The question really around pay-as-you-go. The message is Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat rolling out, IT admin resources available, MC 980252. Of course, there was a lot of announcements around it, a lot of other stuff to help us all, understand it, consume it, talk about it, adoption, resources, all sorts of things. But a key thing that we were focused on last week, which, by the way, the message was there, and then it was removed, and for I think good reason. The story was not really full and coherent, as we mentioned in the show. So there are some admin resources. First of all, I just want to highlight one of them that's in the list a bit further down. At the bottom of the message it's called Copilot Chat and Agent IT Setup and Controls Guide. This opens up or lets you download a PowerPoint, a reasonable sized PowerPoint, which gives you a bit of an explanation of what Copilot Chat is and breaks it all down. And as I see it, Daniel, there is a couple of really good places to start from an IT admin perspective. One is slide 13, which I'll bring up on the screen here. It breaks down that table of the purchase or flexible purchase and deployment options. And what are we talking about? We're talking about M365 Copilot Chat and M365 Copilot Chat being just the chat, just the chat feature, and Copilot being the license to have access to chat plus all the functionality within the applications. I'll say this before I get some of your thoughts on it too. This table, good. It breaks it down. It says here's what the Copilot experience is. There's chat, there's agents, there's the personal assistant within the applications, and then there's the Copilot control system. And like with lots of these tables, it's good to see the dots to say what is included. But then we get down to the red triangles, which talk about what is a consumption model and what we might set up to be pay-as-you-go. That's the part that we're interested in. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the table?
Yes, I like the table. I think it is an attempt, a pretty good attempt, but an attempt to kind of answer some of those questions of what do I get with, X versus. I think the first time I looked at this, I went, wait a minute, they're renaming stuff. They're trying to position names, and that whenever they do that, but don't call it out. Now in the message, they tried to call it out a little bit, but it actually, the way it's said is pretty confusing. I want one of those, term with an arrow, new term. Term with arrow, new term. Because they're renaming, it seems, and maybe I'm wrong here, it seems they're renaming BizChat to Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat.
Yeah.
And maybe we call it BizChat still, but it's not really, because it includes business chat, the chat with your content in a certain way, but also web. I don't know. And then Microsoft 365 Copilot is the full license. That's what I see in this. Is I first see those columns. But it is a good attempt, I think, at trying to get these answers of what people are going to ask. Is okay. What do I get? How do we work with the functionality that is going to be available to us with each one of these?
Yep. So the red triangles indicate what is chargeable, consumable, and for just that Copilot chat space, it is your agents grounded in work data and your agents that act independently or autonomously with results. Scooting further into the slides, we also are interested in, well, hey, what is involved here in setting this up? So we're not going to go into that detail in this part of our show, but there are 3 things that you need to follow on through and set up for the pay-as-you-go side of it. We know that there's an Azure was it environment? Sorry, no, resource group. There's aspects of it for the Power Platform to administer and manage access to the Copilot Studio, and then the Power Platform Admin Center, where you actually are setting up the pay-as-you-go billing, where you are doing things like setting a limit, so that your organization, as you're consuming this, and we'll get to this in a little while, that's an important thing to set, because there are certain things you can control and consume and things that you can't. So yeah, take a look at that slide deck. It is a good pointer towards what you need to do.
Daryl, it's a good resource for change managers of like before it looked like this, after it looks like this. So, I highly suggest you just take those images and put it in your little newsletter or however you're sharing in your organization. Here are the changes that are coming. Steal those images. That's why Microsoft provided it this way, so that you could use these in that way.
Yeah. Now let's get into the cost side of things as well, because that was the questionable part missing from the previous version of the message. There is a good article. Again, I'll flash that up on the screen so that you can find it, and links in the description if you haven't already come across it. But it does break it down in terms of how this works. And the cost, the way that things are costed out, is that you have a zero value message. Oops. Maybe I shouldn't term it that way. It doesn't cost you anything. Hey. But it is content from the web, so that doesn't cost you anything. There is a cost of a message which requires a classic answer. And a classic answer, as we understand it from the material here, is when someone has created an agent, and a bit like our old Q&A pairing, you have come up with a determined or defined answer. It's going to come back with a classic answer. And there's very little effort for Copilot to go through with that, because you've already provided it. So that's why, processing-wise, it is only 2 cents. I probably should have this page up somewhere here so that I can refer to it. There we go. The rest on the list here, so generative answers are, classic answers are 1 message. 1 message is 1 cent.
Correct.
1 cent. Yes, correct. Generative answers, where it has to come up with something, like I suggested Daniel do at the beginning of his coming up with his segue, that he could have generated something a little shorter and more concise. That's going to be a cost of 2 messages, or in other words, 2 cents. When we get into
that would also include based on content that the user provides, generating, right? So based upon this document, like here Copilot, I'm uploading this document to you. Now generate something give me a summary of this document.
Yeah. No, that's good. You've already given it quite a specific source.
Yep.
Don't worry, we're going to tie this all together in quite a nice analogy that we came up with, didn't we, Daniel? Our second and last 2 things on the menu. Tenant graph grounding for messages is 30 messages, or other words, 30 cents. Tenant graph grounded to us means that you have said / tell me about my meeting, / tell me about this person, / Tell me about
SharePoint
stuff in my organization.
Yeah.
And it isn't necessarily, well, it can also be your agent level content, because you are using some of those connections in part of the graph. Is that how you understand it too, Daniel?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, and I don't think we've seen this yet, but it is what's coming. It's those Copilot actions and the autonomous side of things, where you want it to do something automatically on behalf for you. It comes back with its response, and there's some automation involved. That is 25 messages or 25 cents.
Yep.
Now, let's start with our analogy. Daniel, you and I, we're going to go out to dinner.
Oh,
right.
Good.
Yeah,
Fancy place.
But we're not going to start fancy, because we just walked in. We're just going to start with a carafe of water. Glasses of water.
This is going to be a European type of where we sit for hours, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Daniel and I we're working through things. We're trying to figure stuff out, and we have an end goal for the purpose of having dinner together and talking about stuff. So glasses of water. That's our web queries. They don't cost anything.
No,
you can get a free glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not sparkling, not spring, tap water. Yes.
Not spring, yeah. Flat water, did you say?
Flat water, yes.
Yeah, because the bubbles usually cost something, I guess. Your classic answer. So we're at dinner and we're talking about stuff. We're getting queries and responses and the like. But our classic answers, I guess it's a bit like looking at something that has the answers in a brochure, already there. So we've asked. We come back, it gets a result, and that
it's kind of
costs
like
us a little something.
Yeah, it's kind of like we've engaged with the waiter, and so once you do that, you kind of feel obligated. You're going to give them a tip or something, So it's going to cost you something. You're not going to sit there for free if you're talking to them. So it is. We ask them a question about the menu. What is this? What is that? It is pre-prescribed what the answers are, but it's going to cost
appetizers.
Yeah.
It's just little things that are quite easy to whip up. But okay, generative answers actually get into making something that is more consistent. So we order something like that.
Maybe we have a wine or something.
Yeah.
Daryl has a wine. I have a soda.
Okay.
No, but then you're talking, that the generative answers kind of, maybe have an appetizer, so you're starting to pay a little bit more, getting into more of the functionality, if you will, of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And then into our last two, where we're actually requiring something to be made, generated significantly, but using additional sources, sources. The sauces actually means a whole other thing. Maybe we're at some Italian restaurant. We've got some fantastic Mama's homemade sauces that with one of these, and I'm just riffing here, but one of our tenant graph grounding messages is actually we need to get Nonna involved. So someone send out a connector out to her house and she'll create something for us and bring this sauce back.
That sounds expensive, Daryl.
Does, In fact, it's going to cost you 30 messages. But anyway, so on and so forth. Maybe there's some automation here where we're in. Now we've somehow transported a bot-generated Japanese bartender that comes over and mixes us drinks for us. That it's all automated based on things, but that still costs a bit because the bot is expensive.
Yeah, that'd be 25.
Right. So, thank you, Bill. Please, Bill comes back to the table. Oh, check, please, rather. Sorry for American audience. And so we see the breakdown. We were trying to work through and come up with an end result, the whole purpose of our conversation, our meal, our prompts, etc. And we came back with a result. But now we see the breakdown of what that conversation cost us.
Yeah.
How does this break down, Daniel?
Well, I think the system is going to do that, right? It's going to, as it's keeping a record of what it's billing. I think the struggle we have is, and I've looked through these resources, and maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see how that bill is going to be something that we, as change agents, as admins, as maybe the Copilot constable, that we are going to be able to see that Johnny was having conversations and using up messages, which I think that
Yeah.
I understand why they call them messages, but I think that is confusing to people, and they should just call them units or something. Anyway, but that's an AI thing. I get it, but Johnny doesn't understand that when he went out and asked a question to the web, it was free. But then when he started doing these other things, just like our restaurant analogy here, when he sat down and ordered water, that was free, but because they just brought it to him. But as you go along, it costs you more and more money. But we don't get that check. We don't get that, well, Johnny did this and that, and here's all the things that Johnny did. I don't see a way we're going to be able to easily get that information. And I think that's what's really important for understanding who should get a Copilot license, a full license, versus keep using pay-as-you-go, versus needing to be trained in a little bit. Hey, Johnny, you asked these things of Copilot, and every time you did, it cost 30 cents or 25 cents, but 30 cents because you kept asking about, this meeting, or give me this answer based upon this SharePoint content. And you kept asking over and over, no, refine this, refine that, do this, do that. And that one session, you charged us $5, and that was just in 30 seconds or 30 minutes or however long it took. Right. So I think it's going to be very important, Daryl, that those type of a way of breaking it down. And I know people are going to say, well, that's an invasion of privacy, seeing the prompts. Okay. But, I just feel we need to be able to break it down. And so I can go to Daryl and say, you went out, we said you could start using this, and maybe we gave you permission to go to the restaurant and have some appetizers, but you ordered a full meal and charged a bunch of money, to this pay-as-you-go service, and then multiply that by hundreds or thousands of people in your organization. This could totally get out of control if we don't have that way of breaking things down.
And this is where we talk about the controls that we've understood. And we'll just briefly list them. There is a spending limit you can set within the various tools that we talked about earlier. You can say we're going to only allow, $30,000 to be consumed per month. I know these are big figures, but that's the sort of thing, the way you might need to think about it. So there's that. We also see that there is a way of saying people can or can't access agents. So you can control that. You'd say, well, I don't want people to be using the tenant graph grounding thing that costs me 30 messages or 30 cents or any autonomous action. So I can control that. But we don't see anything around whether you can control access to generative answers or classic answers. So question mark there. We'd probably want to actually have just full control over, can someone even use Copilot in a pay-as-you-go way. At the moment, what we see is when you enable it for your organization, you can say yes or no to agent access, but everyone else will seemingly have, that breadstick appetizer level of
one thing I just want to mention, because we know somebody's going to say it. We keep saying each one of these messages is a penny, 1 cent. Yes, we know that you can prepay, and it lists it out there in the documentation. You can prepay, so you can get a little bit of a discount. Okay, it's not a drastic discount, but it is a discount. So we do want to mention that. Yes, we know you can, but it's still going to be about that, right? About 1 cent. Yeah, it's a little less, but. Yep.
So the resources are there. This message is focused on IT admins so that you can set it up. You will have to spend some time as a team understanding what are the repercussions, what we want to allow people to have access to, what we want to control, and what we want to prepay. But yeah, it's a cautious approach. And as Daniel had mentioned, we don't really have any targeted tools to help people improve. and become more cost effective or cost efficient with their queries, and whether who is it that is using this a lot, that we should give them a Copilot license. Maybe that detail's there, but it's not sort of obvious to start with. Adoption resources there too for getting people engaged and using this. There's also like some 30-day something, try these prompts out, and so there's a lot of work that's been put into guiding people through it. But as we said, we just wanted to focus on the pay-as-you-go and how does this thing work. So it is available today. It was available when it was announced on January 15th, and rolling out to customers now. Yeah, so that was a big message. We've got a couple of quick ones to finish off. Thank you for sticking in with us at our 35-minute mark. But Daniel, we've got an Engage message there for you.
Absolutely, we do. Updated Viva Engage verified answers, MC976828. We've talked about previously that you could set up community experts. So community admins could designate certain people as community experts. Well, those experts and community administrators will be able to mark answers that they have verified as, yes, not only is this the best answer, but this is a verified answer. So this, and it lists out some benefits to this of enhanced credibility. Yes, this answer actually is verified. This is not just everyone saying it is. This is actually verified. Streamline that knowledge, getting that engagement of trust, I think is trusting that someone is managing these answers and helping us users understand in this community what is to be trusted. So they're going to be able to, like I said, those experts and administrators to be able to mark answers as verified, and you'll see that badge on those answers. So quick mention, but really good functionality. We definitely wanted to make sure that we covered this. It's in preview, rolling out late January, and expected to be completed by early February 2025. General availability worldwide, early February, expected to be completed by early March. Daryl, I want you to end us on what was new has become now.
Oh, well, very nice. Very nice. What is modern as now? Microsoft Outlook name change. Outlook new on Windows will change to Outlook. MC981624. It is just those small little progressions towards normalizing the new Outlook. In fact, new Outlook is just Outlook. That's really the message. The message is they're taking the brackets away so that the new version and experience of Outlook will just appear as Outlook as an icon on Windows. Now, what does that mean for those who are using Classic? Well, you've already had the word Classic added to Classic Outlook. So if you've made that choice, then you know which one you're using. Classic will have Classic, and Outlook, which was new Outlook, is just Outlook. I think the important thing here is that you're just aware of that. You let people know. But I think, if you've made the choice to stick on Classic, then you'll already see that there. And if you're using new, then, well, it's just Outlook now. There you go. General availability worldwide, begin rolling out February 2025, expected to be complete late 2025. And that is a massive show, 38 minutes.
February 2025.
Late.
You said late 2025, which could be like December. But
Oh, no, yeah, fair. Well, I mean, that could be true too.
No, it could be true too. You never know when these things get updated. Yes, thank you everyone for sticking around. Greatly appreciate it. We wanted to talk about that Copilot thing was a big deal, and so we definitely wanted to spend extra time. That was a choice that we made. So greatly appreciate you sticking around. Thank you so much. Hit us up on all the socials that matter at 365MCS. Would love to hear from you. Hit us up in the comments as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us for that meal. Anyway, episode 365 next week.
Oh, be looking out for some stuff. It's going to be great.
Look out for some stuff. We're looking forward to it. See you then. Bye for now.